Good evening and welcome to the Wednesday, April 6, 2022 regular meeting of the school committee. We have just returned from executive session. We are a couple minutes behind, but at this time I would like to not only call the meeting to order, but ask those who are here to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So our first item on the agenda is a public comment. I don't know if either of you would like to make a public comment. Okay. Then that brings us into recognitions. Are there any recognitions that people have today? Okay. Then we will jump into reports. Jessie.
Sounds good. Hi, everyone. Everything's been going pretty well at the high school recently. Our spring sports teams have begun their seasons and are just now starting to have their first games. We have a lot of exciting news and accomplishments on the music front at the high school recently. The HHS Jazz Ensemble earned a gold at the Massachusetts Association for Jazz Ensemble State Festival, and that means they'll perform on Sunday, May 15th at the Hatch Shell in Boston, and that concert will be free and open to anyone, so mark your calendars. At Micah last weekend, we hosted the event at the middle school, and our ensembles did very well as well, with chorus and orchestra earning silver medals and our band receiving gold. In other news, Vanya Gotham, a senior, was chosen as our student governor for this year to address the joint convention of the Massachusetts Senate and House and give a speech about increasing youth civic engagement. And I also want to shout out another senior, Sydney Yang, for receiving a national silver medal from the Scholastic Art and Writing Awards. She'll be recognized in a national ceremony in June, which is very impressive. Our quiz team, Ruben, Neil, Brian, and Danu, competed in the qualifying round of the high school quiz show last Saturday against North Quincy. And finally, we have a fun new senior event this year, which is a movie night on the football field to celebrate 50 days until graduation for the class of 2022. So that's fun, and the seniors are looking forward to that, and that'll be next Tuesday. And that's all I have this week, but if you have any questions.
That's great.
I think it's Diary of a Wimpy Kid. I think they sent out a form to vote on it. I think it was like, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, but I think that's what we settled on.
Oh, awesome.
I know, it's supposed to be nice too. Looking forward to it.
The weather all of a sudden seems like it's coming in.
I know. It's very nice.
Do you happen to know, will there be a graduation parade? Is that now a thing that we do every year?
I think so. I think they got the town approval for it, so I think that's on June 4th. Okay. We graduate June 3rd, that Friday, and then Saturday is the car parade. So that'll be exciting.
That's great. We have such impressive high schoolers. Really? Wow, that's wonderful.
That's great. Thank you.
Of course.
Okay, that moves us, Dr. Kavanaugh, into your report.
All right, I'm going to see if I can pull it up on the screen. I'm getting Jen's, but I'm not getting mine. I'm not sure why.
Do you want me to go ahead? Mine's very quick.
Sure,
You do
that would be great. Thank you.
So, school committee chair report, payroll warrant S22020 and warrant 22-037 have been approved. Copy of the warrants is included in your packet. And the executive session minutes from July 8th, 2021 were approved but not released. The executive session minutes from August 12th, 2021 were approved to release. The executive session minutes from August 19th, 2021 were approved as amended and not released at our February 17th meeting. And then the executive session minutes from September 23rd, 2021 were approved but not released, and that was from our March 17th meeting. Do you guys have any liaison reports that you want to do before we go into Dr. Kavanaugh's report? Okay, that's great. And then we will turn it back to you.
Let's hope it's going to work this time.
I am crossing my fingers. I don't have a lot to fill the air.
Feeling good about it.
There we go.
There it is. I'm not going to try to put it onto full screen because every time I put it on full screen, that was the problem. So I'm going to just keep it the way it is. All right, so this is actually very quick. Superintendents Report, April 6th, 2022. The very first spotlight is on enrollment, and I'm only going to talk tonight about preschool and kindergarten. So I think last time we were together, we talked about how The kindergarten was doing their registrations and welcoming in the students. So right now, interestingly, we have 210 kids who have registered for kindergarten as of this morning. And we have 33 kids who will be coming out of the preschool, so we are at 243 right now. So I can imagine that those numbers will be climbing pretty quickly. It will be interesting to see where we are by the time we get to September. The maybe more interesting numbers are pre-K. Pre-K, if you've followed school committee numbers over the years, have always been at like 80, 81, 79. They always live in that area. We are currently at 99 students with 5 pending evaluations. So and you know that you've approved another preschool teacher for next year in the FY23 budget, but you can see that those numbers sort of warrant the opening of another classroom there. All right, and then I just have some fun literacy in our elementary schools things. So here's Marathon School, and I tried to do things that are new to us. This is the year that we've been doing Haggerty, and we do it with all of our students. It is, in fact, particularly good for our students who are diagnosed as somewhere on the dyslexia continuum. So there's our kids, and you can see that it must be very engaging because they are all there, you know, hands up and kind of into it. And if you watch the teacher do a Haggerty lesson, it's very, very quick. It's super fast paced. The kids are totally engaged in it, but it does not last a long time. It happens every day.
Just out of curiosity, can you tell a little bit about what Haggerty is?
So that when I watched it, it was very neat. So the kids will do like boat, and then they have to do, you know, there's all kinds of hand signals, and they kind of chant along with it. But it really is building phonics and phonemic awareness. And Jen, you probably can talk more about it than I can. But to see it done is amazing because it's so fast, and the kids know it in and out.
Yeah, the reception from the teachers has been very positive. And it's something that we hadn't had, that whole phonemic sound awareness.
It's super cool. Maybe we'll do a short video of it so that you can actually see it done. That at the Elmwood School, they are coming off of some animal research projects. So they have all done the animal research project. And they have just also finished a biography project. So what you can see here is a wax museum. So each one of the kids becomes, and I'll tell you a funny story. So as Jen and I were going through the line, she would say to the kids, "Oh, Neil Armstrong, tell me a little bit about," and Neil Armstrong would tell. And then we get to one student, and Jen said, "Tell me a little bit about," "This is a wax museum. I am not allowed to go off script." Okay.
Yeah, much better.
So the assistant superintendent was put in her place. But here you can see we've got a nice Albert Einstein and a Benjamin Franklin there. So some really cute things. Another class doing their project only created likenesses, and I'm sure that you can guess who they are. You have Albert Einstein on the right and Rosa Parks on the left, and I'm sure you can tell who that is in the center. Ruth Bader Ginsburg,
RBG,
sorry.
yeah.
I was going to say the notorious RBG, but
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm supposed to say that in public, right? And then, of course, we have March Madness at the Elmwood School. So they start with 8 books, and they are all current, you know, recent releases of nonfiction. And so the kids get to read them all, and then everybody votes. And each day the bracket gets smaller and smaller. And I will tell you that school is just buzzing with this. I mean, they're crazed to find out what book is going to be the winner of the day. So. And this is a financial literacy. We have the Elmwood Brew Crew. So every Friday they go around and they sell coffee. They've got a coffee cart. They sell their coffee. They have now raised $211, which they've donated to Project Just Because.
That's awesome.
That is
Isn't
very
it?
fun.
Super great. And then the last one, I don't know if you've seen this, but at the Hopkins School, we now have a book vending machine. So the kids can actually earn points, and then when you get so many points, you actually get a coin, and you put it in the book vending machine, and you can choose the book that most engages you.
At that age, I would have been the perfect student.
She wants every book in the machine. That's great. Yeah. Oops, and that's all I have for tonight. Just lots of fun.
It's good. We like fun. Okay. Any questions? Okay. That's thank you. And we already went through the other. Then we'll bring Jen Halliday up for the Cpac report. Welcome. Thank you so much for coming.
Do I have a computer to take?
Do you want me to just advance your slides for you? Are you okay with that? Or would you like a computer in front of you?
It might be better with
Okay.
it in front of me.
All right, let's,
That's how I have it.
okay, you got it. Let me just see if I can actually do the view in the,
Yeah, try to go
I'll let you do whatever you need to do with that. Okay. I hope it's going to,
Don't stress me out.
okay. That's the last thing I want.
So don't put it on presentation? Do I
Roll the
dare?
dice.
I would say, well, no, go, give it a try. Go ahead. See
You
what
have
happens.
like 75 tabs open. Let's try.
Let's see. Oh, see, that's what keeps happening. If for whatever
Okay.
reason it won't go to,
So if I go exit.
Yeah.
Where's your
see how it's
key?
making that strange line? I don't know what it's doing tonight.
Something.
There we go.
All right, we'll just do
All
it
right,
this
I'm
way.
sorry,
then.
Jen.
It's okay. I'll let it slide this once.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. It's nice to be here. I'd like to thank the school committee for offering me the chance to speak tonight again regarding Hopkinton Cpac. Oh, geez Louise, I did it again. I'm just trying
Yeah, I
to
think if you do
advance to
the
the next slide.
Bottom right hand little arrow. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
See if
All
that
right,
will do it
yeah.
for you.
All right. So I'm Jen Halliday. I'm your Cpac chair. I'd like to share with you tonight about the Cpac and my vision going forward. In addition to being the Cpac chair, my other job is being the mom to two teens, Kieran and Dee. For those of you who haven't heard of the Cpac, it stands for Special Education Parents Advisory Council. And Cpacs are the link between parents and caregivers and the school administration. So the purpose is to establish shared goals and priorities in an effort to help improve programs and services in the district. So by fostering positive interactions, the parties can collaborate on solutions by identifying unmet systemic needs of children in the district. So information sharing helps to shape the development of programs and services, and that helps to improve educational outcomes for all students, including students with disabilities. So how exactly do we go about these things? To foster parent engagement, the Cpac hosts parent education workshops about once a month, covering various topics of interest. If you have any ideas of future workshops that we can host, please reach out. I'm happy to try to get something on the schedule for you. And Cpac also provides a liaison to each school building. So these important parent volunteers are kind of like your go-to, your first point of contact to solve a question you might have. So these parents are familiar with the school, they know the cast of characters in the building, and they can help walk you through the steps you can take to solve the problem that you're having. So a supportive network of parents can help develop a sense of community. You might find a mentor in the group who has gone through similar issues that you're currently going through, or you could be that supportive mentor to someone else who might be dealing with something that you've already been through. So I find it's a very great opportunity for parents to get to know one another and just build that sense of community. So I've explained what Cpac does, but I should also clarify what Cpac doesn't do, because it's seems that there's a few common misconceptions. So I'll talk about the top three. Cpac is not an adversary to the administration. So given the purpose of Cpac being that it's trust and knowledge transfer, it's obvious this can't happen when the two parties are in an adversarial position. So Cpacs also have no formal authority to issue directives or to set policy. We're merely an advisory council. So constructive feedback is received by the decision makers, that's you guys, and we can only hope that it guides the decisions that are made. So you can see, again, why it's advantageous to have a collaborative rather than an adversarial relationship.
And the third misconception of the Cpac is that Cpac can be used to advocate for specific cases. And this is not true, but it doesn't mean that Cpac can't provide you with support and offering advice and helping find resources you might need. The purpose of the Cpac is to identify system-level challenges. And this is why engagement is so important, because the more information the Cpac has, then we can kind of identify those unmet needs and be able to go forward with recommendations. So one thing that surprised me when I took on the Cpac was the sheer number of students and families we represent in Hopkinton. It's actually under the percentage statewide, which is 18.9%, but it's still a significant number of students. So those are 550 kids on IEPs, which is individualized education programs, 180 kids on 504s, 30 children who are out of district placement. So that works out to be more than 12% of the student body of Hopkinton schools. So that's quite a number of families. And since the pandemic, I've heard from Desi that many Cpacs have either disbanded or that they struggle to engage parents, and Hopkinton Cpac is really no different. Our elected board consists of just me. So at the beginning of the pandemic, Cpac actually was going to disband, and unless somebody was able to take it on. So I decided I would take it on. And the reason I did was because what helped me the most as a parent of a disabled child was that the connections that I made with other moms and dads that were dealing with the same sort of issues that I was dealing with and my family were dealing with. People I could lean on and ask questions. You could talk about the real parts of parenting that maybe you couldn't talk with parents of typical kids. You know, it was either uncomfortable or just too difficult to talk to parents of typical kids. So a common feeling for parents of disabled children is isolation. And I feel like my job with Cpac is so important because that's really, I don't want other parents to feel that they're alone in dealing with issues that they're dealing with. So there is a community here. We just have to bring everybody together. So that's why it's so important to keep Cpac going. So my vision for the future of Cpac, it involves a call to action. So parents, where are you parents? I need you. I do need your help. The vision begins with a call for nominations. On June 7th, I'm planning a parents' night at a location to be determined, because everything is very expensive to rent right now. So figuring 7 p.m. on June 7th, mark your calendar. We can meet, maybe have a bite to eat, get to know one another. Then people can be nominated for one of the 4 board seats. So if more than one person is interested in a particular seat, we can have a vote at that time with a majority rule, and that person takes the seat. So another part of the Cpac vision is to amend the bylaws to get them up to date and carving a clear path forward as a team. So we have to get the team first, then we do that. Since the Cpac looks to advise and communicate regarding policies, it's important to know what issues are coming down the pipe, so that we can advise the decision makers, you guys, before they make decisions. So a policy review committee would be very helpful to get the word out to parents what is upcoming, what's going to be voted on, and based on the feedback that we receive, we can kind of collate that and present the findings to you folks, and just to help make those decisions. And the next is events. So we want to get people engaged. So many hands make light work. I'm hoping to have a variety of opportunities to engage parents and caregivers, coffee meetups, family activities, drinks for the grown-ups maybe. I'm open really to any ideas parents might have that would be enough to get them engaged enough to leave the house, come out and hang out with the Cpac. So. And the last vision for Cpac is advocacy across Hopkinton as a whole. So having a representative of Cpac present at as many community initiatives as possible allows us to give a unique take as parents of disabled children. There's so much we can do if we're able to work together to make this community a better place for everyone. And so save the date. June 7th, mark your calendar, come out and meet with some folks, and have your say in who you'd like to represent you. So if you'd like to get involved, or you have any feedback or questions or whatever, or would like to know where I get my hair done, I'd love to hear from you. You can always email us at cpac.hopkinton@gmail.com. We're also on Facebook if you search Hopkinton Cpac. And we do have a website. It needs updating, but the contact button still works if you wanted to get yourself on our official mailing list, and that's hopkinton-cpac.org. So, I thank you again for the opportunity to come out and speak with you tonight, and I look forward to sharing with you all and creating a better partnership in the future.
Phenomenal. Thank you.
Thanks.
I'm sure everybody probably wants to say something, but my first question is, how can we support you better? I know I've been wanting to try to reach out, and I did send you some stuff that's upcoming, but just...
I do appreciate your willingness to meet with me, and we have to get some bodies first, right? And there are people who have expressed interest. Yeah. It's just getting them to actually come forward and say, yes, I would like to do this, but knowing what's coming, and even today that you were able to post something on Facebook and get some feedback from parents, it's that kind of thing. If people know ahead of time, and then they can read it and be like, oh, that doesn't sound quite right to me, because at first what I read, I was like, oh, this is fantastic, but then I was like, oh, wait a second, it's not what I thought it was. So it's knowing what really parents are thinking, and that's invaluable information for you guys to be able to make those decisions.
Huge for us to have the voice.
Yeah, I wanted to thank you a lot. So I moved to Hopkinton in 2015, and 14, I guess. And one of the reasons we moved here specifically was because of the vibrant Cpac Facebook group that I had encountered, and the fact that it seemed like there were so many animated parents that were involved in the special education community. So it was kind of really sad to see it kind of whittle down. Mm-hmm. And I know this must be a hugely heavy lift right now, trying to get it back up and running. It is such a worthwhile effort, and I really appreciate that you've hung with it for so long, because I know that this has been a while now.
No worse than you guys hanging on through a pandemic, to be frank. But I see it as same as you. I see it as like, you can't let this just fizzle out. So it's worth the effort. If I didn't see that it could be something, I wouldn't put the effort into it. But I just feel like we're just right here. We're just ready to turn into something. So we'll see. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thrilled to see your policy review committee. I think personally, I've been wishing that we had more connection with not just individual parents who have a lens into various things that they hit up against individually, but from your perspective, seeing as a system, across many families, what's bubbling up. And I'd love to hear, wouldn't put you on the spot right now, but I'd love to hear even just anecdotally, maybe at an upcoming office hours or something, sort of what are the top 3 things on your mind? Like, what are you hearing, or where are you hearing the sort of a critical mass of voices that maybe we should hear about? And that, for me, is a great role for you to play to help bring that insight to the committee. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know there is, at one of the next committee meetings, there will be a presentation on dyslexia. Yes. I know that is something that is close to the heart of a lot of parents. So, that's probably the main one at this point. But the more engagement we get, the more information you can get to say, oh, this person, then you have a group, and you can come and say, well, this is what we're running into, and solve those problems. That's the hope.
All right.
All set.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. And I will bring this back and try not to drop it on the way.
Thank you so much. It was great.
So I just had a quick thought.
I like thoughts.
I us have been exposed to special education children or parents of special education children. So we hear IEPs and 504s,
Sure.
and we know exactly what they mean, but I'm sure there's a lot of parents who don't. And I was wondering if there was any way to do a brief, like what is an IEP versus a 504 explanation at some point in the meeting, because
Yeah,
I think that would be really helpful to parents who keep hearing all those words,
Okay. I'm thinking next time Dr. Zaleski comes in, that might be
Oh, sure.
a piece to
Yes.
add on to her. Give a plug for understanding. Okay, that brings us into item B, new business, which is a vote to ratify the HTA, the Hopkinton Teachers Association contract. And Dr. Kavanaugh, I will let you start with that.
Okay, sure. So we just finished our negotiations with the Hopkinton Teachers Association, and for the very first time, I think, really at the recommendation of our legal counsel and the Mass Teachers Association leadership, we engaged in interest-based bargaining. So it was a very different model, very collaborative, and I do want to thank the HTA for being willing to do that, because I think, we will all agree that it was a really nice and thoughtful process, something that was just really different from, the old impact kind of bargaining that we used to do. So there is a successor agreement that goes from September 1st, 2022 through August 31st, 2025. The cost of living increases in that document are 2.5% in the first year, 2 3/4 in each successive year. So it's a 3-year commitment. Some of the highlights, I think, we have established a sick leave bank, and that's for any one of the teachers who is on the new sick leave plan. Like right now, we have some teachers who are on the legacy plan and some people who are on the new one. We have increased stipends where they were not at market value, and I think that was something that you as a committee sort of brought forth, which I think is, unusual, but it was really to say to the teachers, we really value what you do with our kids in an extracurricular level, and we want to make sure that, as you are working with our kids, that, what you're seeing is market value stipends. So that was really nice. We increased time for parent conferences. We increased time on learning for students. And one of the other highlights that I have is that we adopted the most recent Department of Elementary and Secondary Education evaluation rubric. So those were sort of my highlights. And I think you all need to vote for this now in public session.
We do, and I wanted to add a couple things, if that's okay. One is the way that we did this bargaining this year, I found to be really helpful. It helped us to hear more of the stories behind what the teachers were looking for and why. I think, as everybody here knows, each of the bargaining units that we work with, they have different needs, they have different wants, things that they're looking for in the contract. So it helped to hear a little bit of a richer story behind what the needs were. Also, really just a huge thank you to the teachers. I found that the group that we worked with in negotiating, it felt like we were all working collaboratively to come to, these are what the issues are, this is how we can solve them together. So thank you to their entire negotiating team for working so well with us.
Yeah, I would echo that 100%, and I'm really thankful that we were able to do a 1-year contract extension so that we could do this in person, because I think the interest-based bargaining format and being in person with, took a lot of time, but it really made a huge difference in our ability to hear each other and really come out with a really positive outcome. So we were all involved, and I know there's so many teachers who gave their time to participate, and thankful for that. It's good.
Yeah, as the member in this committee who was not part of the actual negotiations, I really appreciated it because it felt like I knew every step of the way what the concerns were, what we were looking for, and nothing was ever a surprise, right? So I understood exactly where we were. I could give input in a calm manner without feeling like, a million things were stacked on top of us. And I'm sure the teachers felt the same way. And so it was so much more calm and understandable, right, than previous negotiations that we'd had. I was really impressed. When we got the final product, I knew exactly what was in it. And, I knew exactly what the teachers had wanted. And, I didn't have any surprises in that document. And it was really nice. So thank you to the HTA for being involved in this.
And it was a lengthy process. We started last summer with a training on how to do the interest-based bargaining, which all of the school committee was able to participate in. And then I don't even know how many sessions we had total, but they were 3 to 4 hour negotiating sessions, and a number of them over several months' time. So it was a big commitment on everyone's part. So thank you, and thank you to all of you for your expertise in the process. So.
Yes. And to Kim Polnick.
And to Kim Polnick, yes. So with that, I would seek a motion, if there's not more discussion, and I believe the motion is written the way it needs to be in our agenda.
I move to approve the Hopkinton Teachers Association contract for 2022 to 2025.
A second.
Motion by Leah, a second by Amanda. All those in favor? Aye. It is unanimous. Thank you very much again to the teachers. I look forward to all the exciting things ahead. So that brings us then down into the custodians union contract, which was going on at kind of a parallel time, different process, different group of people, but I'll let you explain a little bit about that as well.
Okay, so yes, we just finished our negotiations with the custodians, and far less of a time commitment, but certainly no less in our dedication to and value of our custodians. Their contract will run from July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2025. A couple of things that are highlights in that contract. They were willing to give us some flexible time on their 8-hour shifts, so those shifts could fall between 6 a.m. and 4 p.m., which is kind of nice because we have very different start times and end times across the district, and we have multiple shifts, so there might be times when we need people to overlap or start a little bit later, or I'll start a little bit earlier. So we're grateful for that flexibility. They are also now entitled to a 30-minute orientation for when they are onboarding new members. And in terms of dress code, we've sort of broadened their options for reimbursement for clothing. So one of the things that wasn't in there before is something like outdoor weather gear, and so the district will reimburse for that. And then their cost of living increases are 2, 2, and 2 across the 3 years. But what we found was that, most of the custodians are on the top step of their contract, which would mean that they're not getting a step increase, they would only be getting a COLA increase. So we created an additional step in the contract, and the differential between where they are now and that final step is about 1.75%. So it's kind of nice because the custodians who are standing there will get their 2% cost of living, their 1.75 step raise, so it'll be 3.75 for folks who are right there. And even though every raise in the contract isn't exactly at that place, they're all pretty much similar depending on what the step increase is. So, yep.
Any questions or comments? Just, I want to thank the union for working with us. It was a shorter process than the very large document that we had for the HTA contract, but equally appreciate all of the work that they have put in, particularly when we've had so many different things going on with the pandemic and coming out of the pandemic and whatnot, and enjoyed getting to know some of them and working with them on the process, and feel like it was a good product overall for both the custodians and maintenance workers as well as for us.
I would agree. The process and the product were wonderful.
So thank you to them.
That's all I was going to say. Okay. I truly appreciate the work they've put in the past 2 years. It can't have been easy, and I appreciate the collaboration on this contract.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve the 2022 to 2025 Custodians Union Local 335 AFSCME Council 93 AFL-CIO contract.
I second.
Can I just offer
for
an
the
amendment
years.
for 2022 to 2025? Just to add
Did I
that in.
say the wrong thing?
No, I think you didn't say a year. That's okay.
Okay.
That's okay. And then I guess all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, it is unanimous. It approves with great thanks to them. And that brings us into the school physician's contract.
Okay.
Dr. Kavanaugh.
Sure. This one's pretty easy. Many people don't know that schools have a school physician, and so ours is Dr. Stephanie Boder. And each year, we take a look at her contract, and this year, Dr. Boda will be getting a 3% increase, which will take her dollar amount for next year to $7,517.52. And I just want to express my gratitude to her for guiding us through 2 years, really, of the COVID-19 pandemic. And so she's been wonderful working with our head nurse, Kathy Bain, and with me, and with all of our nurses. So.
That's great, and also appreciate again, like so many other people, I know that she has been asked to do a little bit more during all of this than in previous years, so
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
much appreciated.
Move to approve school physician 2022 to 2023 contract.
Is that the whole?
Yes.
I'll second.
Okay, so a motion by Leah and a second by Amanda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Also unanimous and passes. Thank you very much to Dr. Boder. And that brings us into new business item E, which is the school committee office hours discussion. We had talked about at our last office hours, or the one that we did virtually, about kind of opening it up to a conversation here to think about what, if we wanted to do some topic specific ones like we did last summer. And kind of, we can also talk about if we have any particular dates in mind and topics. I did throw it out kind of to people that on my social media to kind of see if anything that is on people's minds in particular. The couple of things that I did get back were, one was on dyslexia, which I was able to say we do have an upcoming presentation on dyslexia, because I think certainly more than the three of us, we have many very experienced experts in that area. So that would be that. And then another one was regarding, I'm blanking on the, it's the one that we got the email on. Oh, kindness, that's what it was.
Oh,
I
that's
thought
right.
that was a great, kindness and
right.
kind of looking at, as more of a preventative, looking at kindness and bullying, and I think that might be something that could kind of go along if we wanted to do another listening series type of thing, but I'm looking to what you guys were thinking.
So, with dyslexia, I kind of wonder if we should broaden it.
Okay.
Because there's children with like invisible disabilities, right? Who and I think that there's a lot of kind of stigma around children acting different who seem normal type of thing. Like you see that a lot, and so maybe there's other parents who haven't been speaking up about the dyslexia issue, but who may also have kids with disabilities that are like invisible, that are hard for other people to see or understand, and I'd like to hear from kind of that.
So separate from the dyslexia report, but bringing it back to the office hours
And the
piece.
office hours,
Yes,
right?
yes,
That's what I mean.
yes,
So
no,
office
that's
hours
to
that
make it-
includes, parents of children with sort of the invisible disabilities, which includes dyslexia and several other things.
I like that.
That works. The only thing that I'm interested in is sort of academic conversations, and by that I mean I know there are families that I hear from sometimes who have very solidly sort of middle of the pack students.
Yep.
And they have their own sort of challenges being sort of right in the middle of the pack, where you can sometimes feel overlooked or lost. There are lots of conversations about how we address either the lower 10% or the highest 10%. But sometimes when you're like sort of squarely, kind of happily in the middle, your child can sort of struggle to connect. And so I'm wondering if maybe we could have, maybe 2 or 3 sort of groupings of just focus sort of on where your concerns are or your profile might fit academically and what your experience is. Just to hear a little bit more some of the voices we don't always hear.
Yep. So like a series.
I like the series
Like
idea.
a listening series.
I do like the listening series idea. Yeah.
I mean, that went really well last summer. So having
It did, and it really, the listening series that we had, I think we had 8 sessions last year. There was a lot of engagement from the community, which was great, and it did give us a lot of information kind of on the ground.
And I think we saw the district take action on some of
We
that,
did.
that
We did.
information
Right.
that we got from the listening series.
Right,
So
there's-
that's really nice. And I do agree with the topics, because these office hours, I mean, we were sitting in front of the concert and nobody showed up. I think when you have like a targeted thing, then people
Right.
who are concerned with that feel more impetus to show up. You know?
I feel like there are two different kind of things that we're targeting by doing Zoom office hours. I think that allows people to show up in a way that fits their schedule. They're able to leave their camera off if they don't want to be seen, but they want to talk. And gives a different type of dialogue. I think the in-person ones, while we don't have as many people always, I think they're valuable because it puts us out there in the community for people who maybe didn't know they were looking to hear from the school committee or to talk with the school committee, but see us and then, oh, hey,
Right. what's
up with, whatever the question is, but so that we have a visibility in the community and people are aware of who we are and that able to reach out to us on the spot there, would be my thought. So listening series wise, I think that maybe, from my perspective, would be a good Zoom thing. What do you-
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Especially because we might have parents with small children, and it's always so hard to get away. Or if you're a parent who is, shy or concerned about speaking up, like you said, you can have the camera off. You can have your voice with confidentiality, right? You're not sitting somewhere that's fairly open where other people are watching you. So.
I agree.
Yeah.
So do we want to collect kind of more thoughts on additional things and then kind of come up with a schedule of when? I would say April is probably not the month, just because there's a break right in the middle.
Yeah, I would prefer to wait until we have.
Yeah, I was going to say it might be better to wait until after when we have a full. I also was thinking the summer worked really well.
Yeah.
Just in terms of we're less intense with all of the budget things that we have going on in the fall, and kind of the less, it's just the energy is way up here during the school year because there are things constantly happening.
Right.
Over the summer, things quiet down a little bit.
And then one last
Yeah.
thought is maybe we have a student one.
That's a
So,
great idea.
High school, middle schoolers already start to learn how to self-advocate.
Yeah.
So maybe we give them the opportunity to talk to us.
I think
Well,
that's
they're
great.
always welcome, but we
Yes.
targeted one.
Yeah.
But one that would just be targeted for students.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I
If-
think that would get a lot of engagement too.
I don't want to put you on the spot now unless you have specific things, but are there, it would be nice to have some topics that would be of interest to students, things that actually the school committee could be of assistance to students and things that matter to students, not
Yeah,
just,
I'll try to think. I know for student council, we have been trying to have a conversation about like reducing stress, which is such a big thing, but such an overwhelming, like there's so many different ways and so many different avenues of stress in teenagers' lives today. But I feel like that could be a big thing, like curriculum-wise and like different things that students would want for that. I think would be a good conversation, but I can also circle back and let you know what people are thinking.
Yeah, that would be great. And then we could shape the office hours.
Yeah.
and in terms of student schedules, would your sense be they would be more likely to come during the school year or more likely to come during the summer?
I feel like maybe school year,
That was
just
my
because
guess.
their minds are revolving around school and their schedule's already hectic. So I think in the summer a lot of kids are just like not
Don't wanna
thinking
think
about
about
school
it.
at all for 2 months, and are always away and whatnot. So I think probably during the school year would be better.
All right, so we'll think of, maybe next meeting we can connect over some topics that would make sense and we can think about when that makes sense to do. I think probably like Leah said, once we have more school committee members, but it could potentially be before the end of the year.
Absolutely.
Okay, that brings us down to future agenda items. Are there any agenda items that people would like to see in the next few weeks anyway, or next few meetings? It's okay. Long term? Okay. Can email, since we're now a quorum of 2, go ahead and email either Carol or Georgette. And that brings us into items by consensus.
Okay, Superintendent, I recommend the school committee approve the items by consensus as outlined in your agenda.
So moved.
Second.
So, motion by Leah, a second by Amanda. All those in favor?
Aye.
And it is unanimous. And that then brings us into, I don't want to, overstate it, but this is potentially a record short meeting in terms of time. But we do have another meeting tomorrow night, so I hope that people will tune in again tomorrow night at 7. So, but is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion by Leah and a second by Amanda. All those in favor? Aye. And we are adjourned at 7:49 p.m. Thank you all for tuning in. Our next meeting, as I said, will be tomorrow night at 7 p.m., where we'll have our public hearing on school choice and another item related to the middle school. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.